and Coulter, author of the bestseller In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome. How are you, Madam Coulter?
Fantastic. How are you, Sean?
I'm good. You know, although I look at these hearings and it's amazing. I think you and I are probably the two people in America, maybe a few of us, a few others, that look at these hearings and see a completely different hearing. What are your thoughts?
Yes, I watched a fair bit of it yesterday, but it was quite a bore because, as you just indicated, Comey wouldn't answer any question other than the fact that he's investigating the Trump-Russia collusion. And, you know, the investigating line, it reminds me of the way non-lawyers talk about circumstantial evidence. As if it's just, oh, that doesn't count, it's just circumstantial. Well, no, DNA is circumstantial evidence. Any evidence that isn't eyewitness testimony, which, by the way, is not very impressive, is circumstantial evidence. Similarly, investigating. I would say the most important actual revelation, other than that Comey is really trying to suck up to the New York Times and Rachel Maddow, was that they've been, quote, investigating. Means nothing. There's no evidence for any Russia-Trump collusion. They've been investigating this for 8 months. 8 months. He said they've been investigating the Trump-Russia collusion since July, and to this day, there is no evidence for that. The big report that came out, just, let's remember, even though they'll keep saying, oh, intelligence agencies have concluded, they've concluded that Putin wanted Trump, and they were trying to elect Trump. Their big evidence for point one that Putin wanted Trump is a very important point in that ridiculous intelligence estimate they put out, which I've discussed with you before. And every serious person to look at it says, all you have is allegations here. You have continued to give us no evidence of Russia trying to influence the election. Their big evidence was Putin never said anything nice about Trump. And you see, he had to hide the fact that he was for Trump. Well, okay, this is non-disprovable evidence. So if he says something nice about Trump, that would have been proof that he wanted Trump, as he did about Obama in 2012, by the way. But by not saying anything nice about Trump, well, that shows us what he really means. This is the sort of argument we're dealing with here. Now, of the two issues, one is Trump campaign, Russia collusion. Number two, Trump's claim only 2 weeks ago that he was being surveilled by the Obama administration. There's zero evidence for the collusion claim. We at least have some evidence on them surveilling Trump, in as much as the results of their surveillance ended up in the Washington Post and the New York Times. Now, the surveillance itself may or may not have been illegal, but the leaking it to the press was illegal. We know that. So we have an 8-month investigation on Russia trying to influence the election with zero evidence to support it. We have now, 2 weeks ago, Trump making the claim of being surveilled, and Comey won't even say whether he's investigating, as you point out correctly. That's weird. You're willing to tell us that in one case you're investigating, but in the other case you give this bold statement. We have no evidence to support the claim that Trump was being surveilled, or Trump Towers Trump campaign. Well, he has no evidence for Russia either. Why doesn't he say that about Russia and say he's investigating the wiretap claim?
You know, what's so fascinating in all of this is that there's a lot of leaking, there's a lot of deep state, Obama holdovers, and where I think this is headed, I think Solomon and Carter have been the ones that have been really breaking ground here. And they've been able to confirm there was a FISA warrant. We did this 2 weeks ago on this program, man. What Comey said yesterday was no surprise to anybody that listens to this radio show or watches my TV show. Yeah, we know there was a FISA warrant. Had nothing to do with Trump, but it had to do with Russian potential attempts to influence. There was another warrant. At some point in the investigation, there were some pings that they had noticed from Russia, from a Russian bank that were on the Trump server, that they did investigate.
Also importantly, the first application for the FISA warrant to investigate people around Trump campaign was turned down by the FISA court. And according to what I read from people like Andrew McCarthy and others involved in this, There are 36,000 FISA warrants have been approved, and, over history about a dozen have been turned down. But this one was turned down, so they rewrite it, come back again, and I guess there was one. But it is, I mean, yes, everything you're putting together, and just watching that yesterday, we really have to, our intelligence agencies really need to be cleaned out. What have they done for us? What have they ever predicted with all of this deep state technology? They didn't see 9/11 coming. They ignored Russia warning us about the Tsarnaev brothers. They don't even have to do any deep state, investigation. Russia's calling up and saying this family is, a nest of pederasts, and our brilliant intelligence agencies say, no, the Tsarnaev family, they're fine, blow up the Boston Marathon. What have they known? They told us about weapons of mass destruction, which they claimed were stockpiles. That was never my reason for supporting the war in Iraq, so I didn't really care. That was my reason for taunting the New York Times, since they're the ones who are so in love with the UN and, well, he's violating UN resolution. For liberals, that was a big issue, and they were wrong about stockpiles of weapons of mass destruction. That is a fact. They sent that loon Joe Wilson over to Niger so we could ask Niger, hey, Nigerian government
Yellow
officials,
cake uranium, yeah.
Right, yeah. Could you tell me, were you seeking uranium? And by the way, I've no way of knowing. And if you say yes, you're going to be in big trouble with the United States. Now be honest. Were you seeking uranium? And that's their genius report. His wife then is, what was she, cover of Vanity Fair? I mean, they are just a ridiculous group of people who are working for the elite political order, which is the New York Times, and, well, we see them out protesting and breaking Starbucks windows all the time. They really just got to clear them out. It would be nice to have an intelligence agency that could do something good, but our intelligence agencies and agents apparently do nothing good. Again, they didn't see 9/11 coming. They didn't see the 1993 World Trade Center bombing coming. They saw nothing. They've stopped nothing. What do we have them for other than to listen to their political opponents and then leak it to the Washington
I think at the end of the day, this is going to go much higher up the chain than anybody thinks. That's my anticipation, but we'll see. Ann, stay right there. Ann Coulter's with us. All right, as we continue, Ann Coulter is with us. Her best-selling book, In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome. All right, so every conservative I've talked to in the Freedom Caucus is not supporting this bill for health care that they're supposed to vote on Thursday. We're going to have, well, I agree. And what I'm frustrated about is, number one, Republicans, after 8 years, never built a consensus bill, didn't bring the conservatives, it seems, into the process. And if they don't have the votes on Thursday, why do I suspect finally they will deal with what the conservative concerns are, but they're hoping they can bypass them?
Yes, well, I'm just concerned with this intractable problem of people not understanding the free market. I don't understand why this is so difficult to explain how the free market works in a world where nearly every service and product we buy on the free market. That's why everything gets better and cheaper. And for most Americans, we can deal with, people who can't pay for their own health care next, but for most Americans who are willing to pay for their own health care and their own health insurance, just let us buy it on the free market. I can't do that. I'm paying $700 a month, and I can't go to Sloan Kettering. I can't go to the Hospital of Special Surgery. Basically, any place you'd want to go. Mammoth deductibles. Why? Because my health insurance premiums, by law, under Obamacare, have to pay for everyone else's pregnancies, delivery of babies, pediatric dental care, gambling addiction, marital counseling, of course, sex change operations, on and on and on. Could someone explain to me why I have to pay for other people to keep their kids on their plans until their age, 25, 26? If you want that, just like when you buy a telephone, you might want 200 minutes per month. I may only want 30 minutes per month. Why do I have to pay for your 200 minutes per month? If we could buy this on the free market, then I could get the plan I want, you could get the plan you want, and by the way, it would be, as I've pointed out before, about $50 a month, and we know that because these Christian healthcare groups or Christian ministries, they're not allowed by law to call it insurance, but it's basically health insurance. $50 a month.
And at the bottom of this hour, I am bringing Dr. Josh Umber on. He does this in Wichita. He's duplicated this model nearly 1,000 times around the country. It's $50 a month, an adult, unlimited care, negotiates directly with the pharmaceutical companies, gets a 95% discount. X-rays are about 48 cents. MRIs are pennies on the dollar. He dispenses the drugs directly, and you couple that with a catastrophic plan, which is really cheap, and you've got everything covered.
Yes, and in these Christian healthcare groups, you have to be a Christian. You have to, establish that. So you are limiting the pool of people, plus which the number of people who even know about it. So it would certainly fall to far less than $50 a month, particularly for people who are healthy, not overweight, young. It would probably end up being about $20 a month. Congress doesn't need to pass a law requiring everyone to have a cell phone. We buy them because they're great and they're cheap. That's how the free market works. And for some reason, Congress feels like they have to tell the insurance what it's going to cover. No, you're going to have an app on that iPhone that has maps on it because we've decided that's the good part of iPhone care under Obama. No, the free market figures out what people want, offers it to them, but it doesn't force everyone buying, a flat screen TV. And you must get a premium package. No, you won't get it, but you'll be paying for everybody else's premium package.
I got 30 seconds, and I agree with everything you said, and we'll talk to Dr. Umber later in the program. We're on the same page.
Yeah, Trump has got to get off this stuff, and he's got to get off tax cuts and get back to what got him elected. He wasn't elected by Goldman Sachs. He got 1% of their vote. He wasn't elected by the donor class. He spent less on television advertising, and that's what the cost is, than even Bernie Sanders did per vote. He doesn't owe the donors. Get back to the wall, get back to deportations, get back to the trade deals. This is starting to look like every other Republican administration. Massive spending on the military, which wastes $125 billion a year, according to a McKinsey report. He's just moving money from one swamp to another. We don't want war. We want more jobs, a wall, and lots of deportations. Not all of this stuff that is indistinguishable from the Jeb Bush administration.
All right, Ann Coulter holding him accountable. That's what we do on this program. Ann, thank you for being with us. Appreciate it.